Greetings and salutations, everyone! My name is Fire Mage, and welcome back to Rimworld Ascension Take 2, Episode 19. If you enjoy this episode, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, mod list is down in the description. And with that, let's get into the episode. Well, picking up where we left off last time, what are my plans for today's episode? Well, if you recall, I started work on this little hospital here. I will be getting this done this episode. Shouldn't really take too long, but once that's done, we will be removing this hospital and expanding the kitchen, and by extension the dining room, so that we can start doing a little bit more with like grilling and stuff. Other than the hospital and the kitchen expansion, I will also be continuing work on the wall over here. We have more than enough limestone. The problem right now is just time. We can't work on the wall and other buildings at the same time, so kind of juggling that, honestly, but you know, it's working. We are also working on trying to get up our food reserves. As you can see, they are rather empty right now, so we need to get that filled because we only have a few more days of growing season, so we don't exactly want to run out of food in the middle of winter again. It makes it rather difficult to do things. And it looks like White is harvesting the wheat fields. Very nice. And the chocolate. Also very nice. So that means that we will now be able to figure out what we can do with the flour. I think bakes are decent, but I don't actually know. So we're going to do a little test and see if it's worth growing. If it is, that would be great, because I think we can get more flour than we can other things, but not too sure about its nutritional usage. And there it is. The simple bakes have been made. Took a lot longer than normal meals do, which is mildly concerning, as well as it took 80 flour to make 8 of these. Well, I'm not entirely sure if it's worth growing, but I don't really see any downside to growing it, so I don't think we'll grow any more of it, but we will utilize what we have, and geez, that's a lot of flour. And temperature control has been researched. Very, very nice. Which means that we can now make large passive coolers, theoretically allowing us to freeze our food. Very nice. Very resource intensive, but very nice either way. Next up, I think we're going to be doing bronze working. I've been contemplating doing this one for a while now. It is worse than steel, but we don't have a lot of steel, so might not be a bad idea to at least have it as an option to mess around with. Now, how big is the passive cooler? Oh, that is rather large. Well, it says it will run out and self-destruct after several days, so that is certainly something. Let's go ahead and build one, see if it's gonna do what we need it to. If it can, then that means we no longer have to worry about our meat rotting, which would be very nice. But it might not. So, only one way to find out, and that is to build it. And there we go. They have successfully finished the hospital. Very good. Not the fanciest hospital, but it is certainly an improvement over the broom closet here. Which means that we are now going to deconstruct all of this over here and open it up. Also, I should probably build some torches in here. Completely forgot to do that. Kinda need light if you're gonna be doing surgery. So, with this done, that means that we can now treat up to 8 colonists. And it should, for the most part, remain significantly cleaner than this one. Hopefully. So, that'll be quite beneficial. Well, it would appear that our farmers have finally finished tilling the corn growing zone. Let's go ahead and re-allow sowing on that. Get that planted before winter arrives. Hopefully we can get a nice early harvest of corn to start our year off when it comes around. Also, the potatoes are being harvested. That is also very good. And this has been built, and yep, look at that. It has successfully dropped it to freezing temperatures, which means that our food is now no longer rotting. Also, our storage is a bit full now, full of flour. So I am going to go ahead and switch this off pemmican since it's all been eaten, and set it up to hold flour instead. We filled up an entire food basket and we still have more. Honestly, it might not be a bad idea to make more of it just because it seems to make a lot of flour for such a small field. All the more reason to do my next project, which is actually expanding the freezer. So I'm thinking we just expand it to about here. We'll use slate walls because why not? We have lots of slate to go around and it's fireproof. But that should give us more than enough space to store all of the food, animal corpses, all that good stuff. Keep it all nice and frozen so it doesn't spoil. And look at that. It has been expanded. Of course, now we have to finish ripping down this wall, and of course getting that torch out of there. Kind of defeats the whole purpose of keeping the room cooled off. But once all that's done, we will be able to expand a little more on the food barrels, which will be very nice. And it looks like they also went ahead and deconstructed this. So let's get to work on this redesign. Now, I'm not necessarily needing to build more things. I just need to reorganize what's already here. So, setting the tables up to be a little bit more space efficient, and of course making space to expand the kitchen itself. And we'll let them do that first because we can't exactly expand this until those are moved. I think that'll work out pretty decently. Ooh, an animal transport pod crash with a fennec fox named Gulliver. Aw, that's kind of sad. Well, yeah, let's rescue the fennec fox. Rescue it, tend to it, might as well. We have resources to spare, for once. It's a rather unusual occurrence, but we have medicine to spare. And we definitely have food to spare with all this bake. And there we go. Carrie has now successfully finished the moving of the tables. So we now need to figure out what we're doing next. I think the first thing we need to do is move the bathroom. It's not really in an opportune spot. So I am just going to move the bathroom into this room. Make it a little bit bigger. Encompass the torch. And then we will simply reinstall these, since we don't really need to rebuild them. And there we go, the new bathroom is finished. Sticking with the theme of upgrading to slate walls, let's go ahead and expand the kitchen. And bronze working is finished right on time. Let's research plumbing. I'm sure the fine people of our town would really enjoy that. Get some actual plumbing so they're not hauling sewage everywhere. Alright, well, now that the kitchen has been rearranged a little bit, let's go ahead and restore the way it used to look. Because if you remember, a few episodes, well, more than a few, but a while back, this used to look somewhat similar to this, and I would like to go back to that nice, more uniform look. So let's go ahead and do just that. And once that is done, we will go ahead and put a grill. We'll put a grill right in there. You know what? We might as well put in a little brewery as well. It'll be very cramped for a kitchen, but hey, it works. Oh boy. And there it is. Right on the 1st of winter, we get a cold snap. Things are about to get rather chilly. Alright, well, that means that we are going to need to make sure that everything stays nice and warm. Yikes. Alright, well, that shouldn't be too terribly hard. We already use a lot of torches, so might not even really need to do a whole lot. That also means that we are going to have a little bit of trouble planting crops. So it's a good thing we got the corn planted when we did. Oh, and all the crops are dying due to extreme cold. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Alright, we are going to need to place campfires around in order to make sure nobody dies to that. And you know what? Let's also go ahead and whip up some parkas for everyone as well. We'll make 10 of them. That should be more than enough parkas. And unfortunately, fur is still out of commission, so we can't get them done at ludicrous speeds, but Krine should be able to make parkas still. So, a little bit slower, but it'll have to do. And plumbing has been researched. Very, very cool. Let's do animal clothing, specifically because I want to get armored animals so that we can get our Thrumbo some nice steel armor. It would be very cool and very useful. So we'll start working our way towards getting that. Should be pretty handy, if I do say so myself. And White has gained another Psylink level. Oh, well, ain't that a pleasant surprise? Ooh, and he is already got the regrow limbs. I think we should go ahead and instead of getting another power, get another focus type. That way, if the tree ever decides it doesn't want to exist anymore, we are not locked out of it. I think we'll do flame, because we got a lot of those. We got a lot of flames, so that would be an easy one to meet the requirements for. Oh, and Coog is suffering hypothermia. Coog, you should probably go warm up. And apparently, the goose coop is the warmest building in the colony. Oh, that's funny. That does greatly amuse me. You know what? I'm going to put something up on the list real quick, and it is to expand the warehouse. Again, I should say, expand the warehouse again, because, well, quite frankly, this really isn't doing it. I like the shape of it, but it's not really working as well as I would like, specifically for the shelving. So I'm going to go ahead and make a specific area just for shelving. Just a little, little square area that shelves will fit a bit nicer in, like so. So it'll work a lot better there. Of course, we have to actually build the thing before we start messing around with shelving. But that should greatly expand our storage for things like wood, stone, textiles, all that good stuff. Which is something that we evidently need to do. And there we go. Crow has now finished the expansion to the warehouse. Go ahead and check that off. Which means that we are now going to begin moving the shelves. This is the first thing we're going to do. Move the ones we already have. There we go. Something like that. And that will greatly increase our storage capacity for goodies. Although, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we might not want to make just shelves. More specifically, we might want to make some clothing racks, for instance, to store some clothes, and then perhaps some hampers to store some fabric. I think that'll work out quite nicely. Give us a little bit more specialized storage, but they should be able to store more, I'm pretty sure. And I think I'm going to leave this episode off here, which means removing those two off the list. And that means that next episode we will put even more stuff on the list. I got quite a few projects. Most of them revolve around upgrading the base to be a little bit more fireproof, because I don't want my base getting burned down. In terms of what we actually got done this episode, while it might not look like a whole lot, we did actually make some pretty significant progress by getting plumbing researched, which that'll be next episode, and, of course, getting the large coolers so that we can actually freeze our food, which will make it a lot easier to survive the winter. The cold snap is going to be a bit of a problem, but with Krine making the parkas and Fur now back up and, in the fight, we should be able to crank those out, I'd say, pretty quickly. So, not too worried about that. Hopefully, hypothermia will become a bit less of a problem here soon. And with all that said and done, I will see you all in the next episode.